And again, I was thinking maybe it's not working, but I know the importance of breakfast now. So I had a protein bar with the tablet first thing.
Hi, I'm Eve Menezes-Cunningham and you're listening to episode 69 of the Feel Better Everyday podcast. Every Tuesday I share trauma-informed and ADHD-friendly self-care ideas to help you take better care of yourself and yourself. That uppercase S for that highest, wisest, truest, most brilliant, joyful, miraculous part of yourself. So the idea is to help you create a life you don't need to retreat from. And you can find out more at thefeelbettereverydaypodcast.com. For deeper dives into each week's theme, you can join the Soul to Soul Circle for bonus interviews, practices and rituals, plus access to a rich archive, including the Love Your Whole Self chakra journey. You can also find out more in the book, 365 Ways to Feel Better, Self-Care Ideas for Embodied Wellbeing. And I have lots of other resources on the website, selfcarecoaching.net. In today's episode, it's a bit of a different episode to normal. I did a bit of a video diary a few weeks ago when I started my ADHD medication. So today is Lunasa, and it's a Celtic Wheel of the Year celebration of harvest, and harvest is my word for 2025. And it's been really interesting with the ADHD medication. And the first day I felt like I was cheating at life because it felt so much easier. It's not that straightforward, obviously, and I'm including daily diaries of my first 9 days on it. But Lou was a multi-talented god. He was a poet, a warrior, a craftsperson. He did it all, and he did it all excellently. And with ADHD, we want to be able to harness our creativity and not feel ashamed of being able to do lots of things. I hope you find this episode helpful. It's very much not telling you what you should or shouldn't be doing. It's purely sharing my own lived experience of my first 9 days on the medication. And I'm recording this before I see the psychiatrist to review it again. I hope you find it helpful. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It really helps. And let me know if you have any questions or any other comments.
So this is my ADHD medication saga continued, but actually about to start the medication. I picked up the prescription today and I start tomorrow morning, and life is very stressful right now. My dad, he was taken in an ambulance 6 days ago. I'm trying to think, like, there's no point saying Friday or whatever because I don't know if I'll share this or when. But yeah, anyway, my work is all about everyone knowing what's right for them. But apparently the medication will help navigate everything. So I have high hopes and we shall see. I will start on it in the morning.
So today is the day I've been waiting for since August 2024, when I got my diagnosis and the psychiatrist talked about how the ADHD medication could work and should work, in her opinion. I can't quite believe it, but I get to try it this morning, and I'm saying I get to try it because I am scared. I'm not used to medication working for me. The endometriosis pain relief never, ever worked. And so, like, things like antihistamines or things like that, I'm like, oh, it's a miracle. So I do have high hopes. And I'm going to have breakfast, and I am going to potentially transform my life by taking a pill rather than working so hard like I have for decades to feel better. Not to say I'll stop doing all the self-care, but it feels potentially transformative and miraculous. And as you can tell, Rainbow Magnificat is just as excited as I am. 8:35 p.m. on day one of my 30 milligrams on the Tevents ADHD medication. And I recorded a few short videos this morning and I'm going to record at least one daily update for at least a week, I think, with the intention of sharing it as a podcast episode. Because if you're anything like me, you might be a bit scared, and I want to help demystify as much as I can. So, some learnings from day one. First of all, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I had no idea, even when the psychiatrist was telling me about the impact, I couldn't properly imagine it. And even when I was benefiting this morning, I was still telling myself maybe it's a placebo effect, even if like I would think the placebo effect's wonderful. But it was like, no, it can't be. Like, I feel like I'm cheating. I feel like I'm cheating at life. It was the most bizarre feeling, and I could immediately feel like, not immediately, but like within an hour or so, I could feel when I had a concussion in 2023, beginning of 2023, up until the August, if I overdid things, I felt my brain. I felt like I could feel my bruised brain. It was a lot of the time up until the April. This had happened in the January, but I've never felt that before consciously, maybe when I was much younger, maybe when I was drinking. But today, with the medication, I was really conscious of feeling my brain, but it wasn't unpleasant. It wasn't like the concussion. I'm really selling it here, aren't I? It's not like a concussion, but I could feel it. It's the weirdest thing. I could especially feel it behind my eyes. And yeah, I left the house in one go. So I went for a swim before visiting my parents. My dad had been in hospital and he discharged himself without against medical advice yesterday. So it's been a really stressful time, but he is thankfully doing well. But I had a gorgeous swim. I was a bit worried because I'd done things in the morning that normally take a lot longer. I am still behind on all my bookkeeping. I've been running my own business for over 20 years. I have my UK accounts as well as my Irish accounts. And it just takes me, I'm not great with numbers. I have that dyscalculia. Um, I can feel like crying and regularly do feel like crying just putting bank statements into date order or receipts into date order. And I have a crate now that I kind of put everything in, and my intention is that I weekly kind of clear it, but it's built up again. Life has been really hectic. So it was like a month and a half's worth of updating Xero, the accounting software that I started using last year. And in order to do that, my phone, I'd got an upgrade on my phone since last doing this. So my Bank of Ireland authentication wasn't working. So I had to ring the Bank of Ireland business online. And the last time I had to do that, I could have wept. In fact, I did weep because it was so frustrating trying to get through to anyone. And I went into the branch because I got this strange, strange letter. And the person in the branch, I phoned, I was on hold, but I did it like, I guess, body doubling around people. But I just thought this, all the call centres, I used to work in a call centre. I know how overworked they all are, but it's so frustrating when you're just trying to talk to a human. And in the end, back then, however many months ago, I handed my phone to one of the humans who worked there, and he was struggling as well to get the thing rectified. So this morning, all of this was going through my head, and I'm thinking, oh my God, the whole day is going to be gone, and I need to swim, I need to see my parents, and I've got loads of sessions. So I thought that, but before I knew it, I'd just picked up the phone and rung. So that is very different. That is incredibly different. The woman was really helpful. Um, and I got the new authentication. I apologized a couple of times. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not great with numbers. And in the past, I'd have been really shame spiraling because I'm really like conscious that like all the numbers, and I kind of joke about like, oh my goodness, like I don't know how hackers do it. I can't get into my own accounts, but she got it set up. I got onto my Zero, it authenticated, and I was able to do my Bank of Ireland accounts and my UK Smile accounts. So for the Smile account, it doesn't automatically go into this software. I have to periodically, so I was doing like a month and a half's worth today, go in and copy and paste transactions into a spreadsheet. Are you losing the will to live listening to this? Um, it's a different spreadsheet to the template that Zero need. So it's the kind of thing, and I remember again with the concussion, just looking from one side of the screen to the other, it was like I deleted thousands and thousands of documents a few weeks ago when I was trying to optimize my laptop and life. And one of the documents was an almost 20-year-old, a document I'd had my whole business life, nearly 21 years, although it can't be that because I lost my computer a few years into the business and started again, but many, many years, like a long, long time. And I had checklists, I had passwords, I had templates, I had all sorts of things, phone numbers, contacts, all sorts of things, and I just lost it. So I was really hoping today that I would be able to remember having done the Zero thing a few times and not have to go in. What I should actually do is create a new template for that. So I was able to do it. I did it in an amazingly short sense of time, and it didn't feel as upsetting as it normally does. Because with numbers, it's funny, I make my living with words. I'm a writer and all, but I really struggle with numbers and even remembering like 4 digits or 6 digits from a security code to then put into the other device. It really normally makes my head hurt. But that using that this morning as a kind of a test, I guess, for the medication, and it really did help. I can't remember. It's worn off now. Don't know if you can tell, but I can't remember if I left the house, if I told you that I left the house in one go, but I left the house in one go. Normally I get to the car or I get to my bike. Sometimes on my bike I'll cycle halfway down the lane, like it's a mile long before you get onto the main roads, and it'll be like, oh, forgot my helmet or forgot my high vis, go home, get it before going onto the busy road. Or I'll get into the car and I'll be like, oh, I've forgotten whatever it is. And today I got into the car and I drove to the pool and it was like, oh my God, I didn't have to go back for anything. I hope I've got my swimsuit. And I did. I had everything I needed for the pool. I had everything I needed to see my parents. And I thought that's utterly incredible. Oh my God, that's completely on its own worth the €80 a month for the prescription once I fill out the drug payment scheme to get it capped at that. So that was amazing. A thing I found challenging was having breakfast. I felt evil ignoring the cats who wanted my attention. I normally get out of bed and feed them straight away, do some yoga, like brush my teeth, not necessarily in that order. I'd normally feed the cats, brush my teeth, do some yoga. When I feed the cats, I'd normally put on the kettle and make like a hot lemon, ginger, and maple syrup hot drink and a rosemary tea for later. And it's all kind of, I know I need a lot of time to get started in the morning. So I've just kind of, I don't have appointments first thing, and make sure I have enough time before that. But this morning it's like, I know I need to take the medication first thing. And I know I'm supposed to eat protein, and I will often get to like 2 p.m. before I have breakfast. So that really felt like, oh, I don't want to. I had whole grain toast with peanut butter and mushed banana and a bit of Vigo spread, the vegan chocolate spread, which is so delicious. And I just ate it. It was like, I didn't enjoy it. I do enjoy it, but normally I would sit down or normally I would stand outside or sit outside or at least look out the window at the beautiful scenery. And today it was just like, got to take the medication, got to do. So that felt quite stressful. And I didn't know what was going to happen when I took it. I am aware it has side effects. I'm aware that I wasn't allowed to start on it when I was first diagnosed. I had to have loads of tests, well, not loads, but a few tests to check that my heart was able for it. And then once I got those tests, it took me ages to remember to send the additional information, first of all to my GP and then to the psychiatrist. So that was quite stressful this morning, thinking what's actually going to happen. Have I been getting my hopes up ridiculously? Will it be a bad thing? And like, could it make a really stressful time with what's going on with my dad worse? And also, I had a busy day with sessions, and I obviously want to be my best for my clients, many of whom also have ADHD. So thinking about what I could do differently tomorrow and moving forward, I think I'm going to have a little like tub, not a tub, but a tiny little bowl, a handful of mixed nuts and seeds and a little bit of dark chocolate, maybe some raisins, but just so as soon as I wake up, before I get out of bed, so I've done my meditation, but I'm not out of bed, I can kind of eat the nuts and journal and read my cards and do all the nice things that I'm able to do many mornings, not every morning, but I think that will then help me get out of bed, feed the cats, do the yoga, like brush my teeth, all that stuff, but knowing that I've done it. So it's not that pressure. In terms of loss of appetite, which I was concerned about, I've just we had a power cut earlier in the day. We had, I guess it was stormier than I realised in the West. I was in an in-person session at the time, so didn't notice until afterwards. So I had to use my phone as a hotspot for my laptop, which thankfully both were charged enough, but not as charged. The phone, I'd normally have it much higher charge, and my little power pack that I've had for years, and funnily enough, since the concussion, my partner brought it to me in the hospital. It seems to be dead now, so I need to get another one of those. But I was thinking in terms of setting systems up, in terms of making things as easy for myself as possible. It's something I've always been really, really organised and fascinated by organisation and interested in it. And I used to go into people's homes and like do clutter clearing coaching and help them like nearly 20 years ago with that. But it's something that I love, but also that doesn't come easily, which is why I'm so fascinated by it. But thinking, I think with the medication, just from today, it's going to make all the strides I've made in terms of optimizing my phone, my podcast, my Substack, my website, my laptop, all these things that I've just wanted. I think since the concussion, I've wanted to simplify and make as easy as possible all the things I find so challenging, because I love the client work so, so much. I love the writing so, so much, but it's all the stuff around that would make me cry, that would make me really stressed. So yeah, I think the nuts and seeds by the bed, and then just taking the medication and then getting on with my day without the fear I had this morning. Just knowing, okay, so it's supposed to last for 10 hours and it has worn off. I'm still conscious of a little bit of it's funny, this morning I could feel my brain, and in the last hour and a half I've been aware again of my brain, but more around my nose. This morning it was more behind my eyes. I hope I'm not describing terrible side effects that mean something else. And here's me thinking, yay, the medication's working. And then I'm going to die or something. And it will be like, oh, that was a warning sign. But I won't delete that out. I think that's another thing I noticed today. I thought, I'm not having as many irrational thoughts. And I don't mean to be down on myself when I say that, but I do have a lot of irrational thoughts, and I've learnt to live with them. I've learnt to trauma history, ADHD, rumination, all of it. I'm much, much quicker. The daily meditation helps, I'm sure, in prefrontal cortex back on board and helping talk myself down. Whereas today I had a thought, I'm not going to call it irrational, and I did something about it. So I put a safety measure in place, and then I forgot all about it. And then I thought, wow, I'd have spent so long in the past kind of worrying, and I do so much to counter all the worry, all the stress, all the anxiety, and thinking it's day one. And I've heard from a friend who is on medication, and I've been kind of talking to her as she's been going through this journey. And like lots of people, like thankfully we've got kind of connections with each other and we can learn from each other. But she was saying, yeah, the first few days it's so euphoric. But there is also obviously that grief in terms of how much easier. Like, I can't think how many times I thought this morning, I'm cheating. I'm cheating. Oh my God, I feel like I'm cheating. And it's like, how are you cheating, Evie? You went to the doctor, you got referred, you went to the psychiatrist, you got diagnosed, you've taken the medication, it seems to be working how it's supposed to be working. Your brain right now is working as normal brains are supposed to work. But because it isn't as tangled as so often, you feel like you're cheating. So, this is potentially an ADHD overshare, but I hope it helps, and I will share more tomorrow, and I will then put all of these videos together and do a podcast episode. Very much my lived experience, very much we're all different. I just hope that sharing my lived experience will help you maybe feel a bit more knowledgeable, a bit more what to expect, a bit more confident about trusting your own body and your own brain. And I think most of all, what I wish I could say to, let's say, 3 months ago me, because I sat on those results, I could have started it 3 months ago. I had to have the tests. I couldn't have done it before. I couldn't have sped up the referrals. But certainly when I got the results, I could have immediately contacted the GP and the psychiatrist. So I could have had an extra 3 months of more clarity and focus. And if you are sitting on the fence or hedge or wall or whatever you want to be sitting on, and if you're wondering, try it. It might work for you, it might not, it might need adjustment. It might be that you are self-diagnosed and you're thinking about getting a formal diagnosis, which I know are really expensive. That was one of the huge delays for me. But I cannot believe day one what a difference it's made. So I want this for everyone. I want I want life to feel easier. There's enough hardship, there's enough suffering. So if there's something you can do to make it easier for yourself. I never really thought I'd see medication as self-care, but of course it is. Sending lots of love, and I will share more tomorrow.
So day 2 of my ADHD medication, and I had a little jar of nuts that I prepared last night to have right by the bedside table, on the bedside table. So as soon as I woke up, or as soon as I was ready to get up, I ate them and then took one of the tablets. And then I had a luxurious normal Saturday morning where I try every week to take a 12-hour mini silence from Friday night to Saturday morning. Turn phone off, no telly, no washing machine, no music, no nothing. And I thought, okay, I will carry on with what I started yesterday, catching up with the bookkeeping, but it's a Saturday, and other than that, I just need to edit the podcast episode and get that uploaded onto all the platforms and all the rest of it. So I did a great kind of session with an enormous crate filled with receipts and financial papers and all sorts of things I would normally find really stressful, and today I got them into order and I feel great. I haven't completed everything because I've done so much, it doesn't matter. I've done way more than I expected to do. And I'm sure that the medication did help. Unfortunately, when I went to then do the podcast episode, it was more technical than I'd realised. I hadn't done as much on the episode as I thought. So it involved all the cutting and editing of the podcast. I'd edited the transcripts, and then I had a few technical hitches with the uploading. So it's taken much longer than I thought. I thought it would be a nice, really relaxing Saturday, just in front of the telly, doing some kind of admin-y, easy bits. and it hasn't been. I'm running late, so I've had to kind of apologise to my partner. I'll be there later. And all is okay. All is better than okay because I have done it. I've caught up with months worth of financial admin in a day, or like yesterday and today. I had a lot of sessions yesterday as well. I do have, like, I need to update the spreadsheet still, but I've updated the Xero, I've updated, I can't think now. I think it's beginning to wear off. I'm impressed by it. I haven't had that same kind of tightness around the head that I had yesterday, so I don't know if my body is acclimatising. It's still the very low dose. I like to think that the nuts and seeds helped. Apparently protein first thing is really good. I did a lovely yoga practice before it kicked in as well, and I dealt with the cats as always, but it's weird. It's really, I mean, it's day 2 and it's less weird than I anticipated. I'm finding it a little bit hard to judge because I try to not work Saturdays, but this has been an unusually stressful week. So it's been a pretty full-on day catching up with everything. And it's been worth it, and I feel good. I feel fine. So I will see how tomorrow goes, where I have a lovely day off planned, and keep going with the updates, probably a week's worth, in case anyone is wondering how they might affect them. And again, just to be clear, this is how it's impacting me. It doesn't mean it will impact anyone else in the same way. I just hope it demystifies it a little bit. It's day 3 of the ADHD medication, and it's amazing how quickly I've adapted to it. Today was quite unusual because I was up at 5:30 to go snorkeling in Tipperary. It was a long journey, and I did it yesterday. That's the only time I'll continue to do it because it worked well yesterday. But having the quite a big handful of mixed nuts with a bit of dark chocolate and some raisins right by the bedside so I can eat it first thing and then take the tablet. I think that's the way forward. But because it was 5:30, I figured I could wait until my partner made breakfast, and he jokes that it's an all-day breakfast for me. It's like kind of a mixture of fruit and vegan yogurt and granola and seeds and what have you. Really lovely. But as it goes on, it gets a little bit trifly, because obviously I haven't had trifle in ages because it's not vegan. But today it was like, right, quickly eat it before the medication and then you don't have to think about it. We were going out for lunch for someone's birthday as well, and I just got chips and vegetables rather than even trying to find somewhere with vegan options. I mean, chips and vegetables is a vegan option. I just knew with the appetite element, because I took it so early, I took it like around 7 o'clock this morning. I was a bit worried about it wearing off on my drive home, and I didn't notice it. So that first day where it felt like I could feel my brain and behind my eyes and behind my nose, I felt that a tiny bit yesterday at one point, but I haven't felt it at all today. My partner thinks it's definitely making a difference for me in a positive way. I think that it helped me navigate very little sleep last night. I was working all day yesterday, which was a Saturday, which is far from ideal, but I'm so happy that I've done it because it makes this week so much easier with everything that's been going on with my dad, and he's out of hospital, but against medical advice, but at the same time he is okay, which is amazing. But that has been stressful. Lots of the medication has worn off today, but I can't believe how well it seems to be working. I just cannot believe I've encouraged so many clients to give the medication a go and try the medication, and I've heard their success stories and their horror stories because everyone's different. I've got so many friends who've gone through it and we've been sharing journeys, and I felt really frustrated for so long because I heard amazing things. It sounded like a fairy tale, and then with the cardiology element, I thought I couldn't, and so I didn't want to get my hopes up. And something else that held me back, like when I hadn't handed in the information from the cardiologist to the GP and then to the psychiatrist, I had that information to forward in March and I only got it sorted late June. And I think part of it was a fear that I would get dependent on the medication, that it might be life-changing and that it would then go away, and then where would I be? I'd be worse off than I ever had been, which is completely not the most rational way of going through life. I mean, that reminds me of, I'm not going to even say things it reminded me of because they're not rational. Just thinking after loss, I'm never going to love again. I'm never going to, like, kind of, that's it. Closing my heart, closing my life. If the medication works and if it doesn't have side effects and if I can take it, that's wonderful. And then if something were to happen with the supply or whatever, maybe like whatever might go wrong, I'll still be glad to have given myself a bit of a break. Like, I'm just noticing in 3 days, it's incredible. It's like, I mean, I'm not the most, like, I don't have the best memory in the world, but I don't feel like I'm forgetting as much. I don't feel like I'm having to go back as much for things as I would normally do. And I wouldn't be normally stressing about it. I'd be giving myself grace about it because I've learned self-compassion over the years. But it really is amazing just thinking how much time I've wasted, and thinking, like what the psychiatrist said when she told me about it initially, and I've got a review with her in a few weeks. She said people tend to sleep better because they've got more done during the day, so they're not anxious about all the things. And of course, ADHD brains overscheduling, wanting to do it all rather than little micro elements of projects and what have you. Yeah, I am feeling good. I'm looking forward to Monday tomorrow. I'm going to have a restful evening now. I'm home after a busy weekend. I'm taking things off my plate because I did so much all week and I want to be rested for the week ahead. And if you are curious, I would definitely, I mean, I always say, always seek medical advice. I'm a huge fan of complementary therapies, and I know, like the daily yoga, the meditation, the yoga nidras, all the things I do, they're so valuable and I so appreciate them and I love and I continue. But yeah, I had no idea that popping a pill would actually seemingly work. So yeah, I will update you tomorrow. Oh, yeah, quickly. So yoga, like I do yoga every morning. When I'm at home, I normally have cat company and it's very cute and I scoop them up for cuddles and I might look out the window at the donkeys or the mountains and I love it. It's just a gentle start to the day. But I noticed yesterday when I was doing my yoga, my cat, one of my cats was on the mat, Rainbow Magnificat, was on the mat with me and I was able to appreciate her but not get distracted by her. And it's like, oh my God, this is bizarre. Anyway, I hope that you are doing well in your own ADHD and medication journey, and I will share more tomorrow.
I'm on day 4 of the medication. And I was looking forward to starting the day with my little jar of mixed nuts and seeds and a little bit of dark chocolate. And when I woke up this morning, I was like, I'm not a squirrel. And I refused to eat it. So I didn't have a lot of time before my first client, but I forced myself to have some granola and almond milk. And then I took the tablet, but it really didn't work. Like, as in the tablet worked, but the easy, soothing breakfast didn't work. So I need to figure out a better way to get protein into me first thing in the morning with minimal effort. And that I do love nuts sometimes. But this morning I was really like, I am not a squirrel. You can't make me to myself, which is a bit silly, but it's all information. So I was thinking about alternatives. Like I love my oat milk shakes. I call them protein shakes. A friend of mine calls them fat shakes. I include oats, nut butter, bananas, cacao powder, and nut milk, and they're delicious. But they're like also with the chia puddings or vegan yogurt, protein. The chia puddings I love, but with all of it, I need something I can have first thing in the morning, and I can't have something straight out the fridge. I know that might sound a bit strange, but I need to let my yogurt, my vegan yogurt, my chia puddings, my oat milk shakes, my everything get that bit closer to room temperature. So I'll be experimenting with that. I haven't felt my brain in the same way as I did on Friday. Since Friday, I've had the odd little kind of feeling, but the moving into the medicated state and it wearing off has been pretty easy. It's not been the roller coaster that others have described, which has been a huge relief. And I'm actually looking forward to increasing the dose. So I've got 2 more days on this dose. I am thinking of breakfast options, and that's the another timer. Hang on. I had a timer on to remind me to turn the oven off because I'm about to have lunch because I'm recording this at 10 to 7 p.m. So I'm guessing that the medication has worn off. I had like kind of nuts and dark chocolate during the day and a carrot. And I had my granola this morning. It's interesting in terms of the appetite element because essentially it is like kind of speed, it's a stimulant. Um, I know that I'm carrying extra weight around my abdomen, which isn't a healthy place to carry it. But I also know that as a woman who was raised in a patriarchal, white supremacist, misogynistic culture, capitalist, all the rest of it. I remember as a teenager kind of being almost anorexic and luckily not. But when I kind of came to terms with that as a teenager and the kind of realization that all of the diet culture was a way of wanting women to take up less space in the world, it kind of annoys me, or well, it does very much annoy me, the way that we are encouraged to take up less space in the world. So I was worried about the appetite element, and I was worried I'm in no danger of wasting away, but I was worried about wasting away, which might sound silly. Um, I am looking forward to having this late lunch now. I'll have like some mashed parsnip and turnip with a baked potato and a vegan chicken with some vegan gravy, and as in a fake vegan southern fried chicken fillet type thing. I'm really looking forward to that. My appetite is here. I guess the medication has worn off for the day. Um, I need to get better at breakfast. I think that really is going to be key. And it's also really interesting looking forward to starting work the next day rather than doing what I've done for 20 plus years as my own boss and probably many years before that working for others. The thinking, oh, if I just carry on, I'll just finish this. It's like, nope. And today I actually had the thought on the medication. I was doing 3 loads of laundry in between clients, and it was like, okay, I'm not going to have time to hang 3 loads of laundry. I'm going to set the timer for in between the sessions, and I'll do what I get done. And I left it just like for that next hour and then went back to it. But my partner said something about compulsive, and that sounds awful, but I think that is it in a nutshell, which makes sense with the impulsive element of ADHD. It's like I've got to finish this rather than I want to finish this or I'm choosing to finish this. So I've gone through my diary, my desk diary for today, and I've deleted, I've just cancelled the things that I'm not going to finish tonight. I made myself go for a swim, which was gorgeous, but I was thinking I didn't have the time, while also recognizing I really need to prioritize the self-care with all the stuff going on at the moment. And thinking also when I did my yoga nidra today, I thought I'm going to actually do a 40-minute one. And I was a bit worried because I've been under an enormous amount of pressure. I didn't think I would be able for it. And I am a bit disappointed that my mind does still wander, and it takes a lot of concentration to bring the awareness back to the instructions and all of that. I'm a human, we all do it, but I'd kind of hoped that it would massively reduce all the thoughts. And it has reduced, but not to the degree that I had hoped. But if I recognise that it was a much longer practice than I've been doing for the past few weeks, that is pretty good. And also, for the first time in I don't know how long, I normally finish a yoga nidra whether I'm guiding myself through it or listening to one of my own recordings. You can access them, just search yoga nidra on my Substack or on selfcarecoaching.net or on YouTube. But whether it's me guiding myself in a recording or live, or whether I'm listening to someone else, I'm very much on to the next thing by the time it finishes. And I'm like, yay, I love it so much. And I'm ready. Whereas today, and I don't know if this is medication related or complete coincidence, for the first time that I can remember ever doing a yoga nidra. Like when I used to, like before COVID and before so much was online and it would be in person, it would be in yoga studios, it would be, and I'd pretend. I spent a lot of time pretending to be relaxed and at ease and peace and all the rest of it when I was younger. But I would be mentally charging ahead and thinking about do. Whereas today, it was like it finished and I rolled onto my side and I paused and I then got up. So that feels, I don't know what it means. I don't know if it means anything, but it does feel quite significant. I will update you more tomorrow, and I hope that you're finding this journey helpful. So, day 5 of the medication, penultimate day on the lowest dose. And I had an oat milk shake for breakfast. I took it out the freezer last night, took it out the fridge when I got up for the loo in the night, and added my magnesium and a bit more oat milk to it when I then woke up. I still didn't drink it straight away. I had it around 9:30 and had my medication after that. But it felt more relaxed, sorting out the cats, just faffing around. I'm not a leap out of bed energized kind of person, and I realize that I am able to get out of bed. I do have a lot of motivation in many ways, but I'm relieved from my experience so far that it's not a huge roller coaster in terms of when the medication kicks in and when it doesn't. So I'd initially worried about timing in terms of clients and what have you, not wanting to suddenly be very focused if I've not been in a session. I didn't want a big change or anything like that, but this seems quite a smooth transition, both in terms of it kicking in and it winding down. Today, for the first time, I was actually wondering if it was working. A friend, neighbour friend, and I, we took a sledgehammer to an ancient, battered old fridge that had been left in the garden when I moved here, and it had been too big for anyone to move. But Storm Owen back in January destroyed it, and we had screwdrivers and hammers and eventually a sledgehammer. And I'm thinking, I do not recognise my knife, but I'm tired from that. I'm tired from everything that's been going on with the family. I'm tired from fitting in work and working like till 2 a.m. again and getting it all done, feeling pretty good, but recognizing I am doing a lot. So there's that as well as being on completely new medication for me. So at a certain point this afternoon, I had lunch and then I had dinner around 6:30, no, about 6 o'clock. And I thought, oh, maybe the medication isn't working anymore because I was hungry and then I kind of realised, nope, it definitely did, because at 7:30 it was and not too dramatic, but dramatic enough to know I need an early night. I need a bit of a lie-in tomorrow. I need to amplify all the things I was doing before I could try the medication. I don't want to be dependent entirely on that. And I've still been keeping up my yoga nidras, my yoga, all my normal practices. And again today with my yoga nidra, it was only a 20-minute one, but I stayed awake throughout. I was better able to focus. It's still a challenge. I've been doing it for so long and I facilitate them and I still find it very challenging. But today and yesterday, for the first time ever, I wasn't in a rush to get on with things when it finished. So it's a very interesting, at least to me, process. And I hope that it's helpful for you.
Today is day 6 of my experiment with the ADHD medication, and it's the first day that I thought maybe it's not working for me anymore. It's my penultimate day on the lower dose. I got that wrong yesterday, and I had breakfast later. I just couldn't. I was working late last night with everything going on, and also I think I thought I could get away with it. And today I really couldn't. It took me until 6 p.m. to get dressed. I didn't have any clients and I had a lot of writing work to do, and it was tricky writing. And I thought I'd get it done in 2-3 hours, and I blocked off like 4, but it took all day and it's still not 100%. Still need to cut a couple hundred words. I was gonna show you Rainbow, but I don't think. Hang on. There she be. Hello. But yeah, I felt I've been struggling today, and I'm looking forward to trying the higher dose. But based on today, it's like, well, I mean, that's how I was generally. Like, I would struggle. I learnt to rest. I did a longer yoga nidra today, 40 minutes, and that really helped. But that helps without the medication. I did have that same experience where at the end of it, I felt really like kind of not wanting to move. It always relaxes me, but this is new on the medication. And loved ones have told me that they definitely notice an improvement. So it might just be that I just kind of, it all caught up with me today. But I will keep going, and yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to be able to try it. Day 7 of the medication. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this or not. I'm swimming in the sea and it is heavenly. And again, I was thinking maybe it's not working, but I know the importance of breakfast now. So I had a protein bar with the tablet first thing, and then I made breakfast for me and my partner and had that leisurely after sorting the cats and everything. And it seems to have worked well. But I am looking forward to the better dose tomorrow and hoping it makes more of a difference for me. I'm on day 8 now. I've gone up to the higher 40 milligram dose, and people are telling me it's definitely made a difference. I also heard that it stops working if you don't get proper rest, which makes sense of my experience a few nights ago. So it's kind of given me added motivation to prioritise proper rest and sleep. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity to try it, because it does feel like I'm cheating at life much more. It feels much easier in many, many ways. I'm sticking with all my existing practices, but they feel easier as well. Things just feel easier. The hardest thing still is figuring out breakfast and having to eat first thing, which I struggle with. But it will get easier. This morning I had dal and bread because I just thought it would take a few minutes to heat up. I'd made it the other day, and that was delicious. But I think if I give myself permission to rebel about breakfast in terms of silly things, but making sure it's protein and first thing, and yeah, I'm really grateful. I hope that this series of video diaries has helped you if you're considering taking ADHD medication or seeking a diagnosis with a view to potentially trying medication. Obviously, everyone's different, always see your doctor, but I've gone from being really scared to really grateful.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Feel Better Everyday podcast. I'm your host and producer, Eve Menezes Cunningham. And if you are a member of the Soul to Soul Circle, you'll be getting your deeper dive tomorrow. And the bonus content includes a special metta meditation, sending loving kindness to your whole self, including those parts that perhaps are ambivalent about medication, or if you have any injuries, any chronic conditions, any symptoms of trauma and ADHD that you're struggling to love and accept in yourself. This is an unusual metta where it's working with lots of your different parts. So I hope you find that helpful, and you can join via selfcarecoaching.net or evenc.substack.com. And that's as little as €8 a month, less if you do it annually. Next week, I'm looking forward to sharing some of the ways in which cats can help make everything better. So it's International Cat Day, and I normally miss such things because here at Rainbow's Residence, every day is Cat Day. I have so many. I hope you have a gorgeous week. Thanks again for listening, and look after yourself.